Are you planning a trip to the Smokies? Whether you're staying in a cabin on a mountaintop or a hotel down on the Parkway, in an RV at the KOA, or the family tent in Elkmont, whether you enjoy walking the busy streets of Gatlinburg or a quiet trail in Greenbrier, if your idea of fun is speeding down on a mountain coaster or a vista view from a mountain summit, then this podcast is for you. I'm Chuck Schmidt, and I'm the Outsider. From moonshine to pancakes, from your wedding day to a family reunion, we're here to make your visit more enjoyable, more memorable, sharing with you more of the Smokies. So if your idea of the perfect park is Dollywood or the Great Smoky Mountains themselves, we've got a lot to talk about. So let's get started. But first things first, don't feed the bears. Hello everyone, I'm Chuck Schmidt and I am the Outsider. We are almost there. Everything that's great about the Smokies and the surrounding area is either open or is set to reopen. Most of the attractions, most of the restaurants, they're now open, albeit they probably have some limited capacity or limited hours, but we're almost there. Almost everything is open. First things, let's take a look at the park. Again, not too much has changed since last week. Closed is still all the visitor centers. They're still closed. The campgrounds, they're still closed till at least June 7th. Klingman's Dome, again, that's open. All other trails, backcountry campsites, and shelters accessible from the open roads, they are open, but again with reduced capacities. Now, the picnic areas that are still open, Big Creek, Cades Cove, Chimney Tops, Collins Creek and Pavilion, Cosby and Pavilion, Deep Creek and Pavilion, Metcalf Bottoms and Pavilion. And the open restrooms, Klingman's Dome, Newfound Gap, restrooms near Cable Mill and Cades Cove, Oconaluftee Visitor Center, restrooms at Sugarlands Visitor Center, Abram Falls, Alum Cave, and Rainbow Falls Trailheads. The restrooms are all open there also, and the restrooms at all the above picnic areas that I listed are open. Now, as far as closed roads, all the roads are still closed that were closed last week. One that I want to highlight, though, is Little Greenbrier Road, because that's actually going to come up a little later in the podcast. I do have to remind you that that one is closed. Taking a quick look at the businesses that are opening here this week, Sweet Fanny Adams Theater is opening June 5th. Country Tonight Theater is opening June 5th. Smoky Mountain Winery is opening June 5th. Pirates Voyage Dinner and Show is opening June 10th. Dollywood's Dreammore Resort and Spa is opening June 10th. The Ripken Experience is opening June 14th. Governor's Crossing Stadium, 14 Theater is opening June 16th. Ford Cinemas is opening June 24th. And Dolly Parton Stampede, although they haven't really listed a opening date, if you go onto their website, it looks like tickets are available starting July 4th. So let's just call that kind of a informal opening date, but that is the latest information coming from their websites. Now, probably the biggest news this week is Dollywood. Dollywood Parks and Resorts will begin a phased reopening on June 15th. Dollywood and Dollywood Splash Countries are set to reopen June 17th, but they have special days, season pass holder exclusive days, on June 15th and June 16th. Here's some important information to know before you go. Daily capacity will be limited, season pass holder reservations are required, and date-based tickets will be available for general admission. Face masks or face coverings are required for all visitors age 3 and up, with some exceptions. Some exceptions where face masks are not required will be while eating, or on a water park attraction, or select roller coasters at Dollywood. For a full list of exceptions, please visit Dollywood's FAQ page on their website. Temperature screenings of all patrons will be taken prior to entry. Attraction and dining capacities will be limited to allow guests to have more space to move around during their visit. Physical distancing measures have been put into place, including physically distancing cues, marked barriers, and social distancing reminders. Finally, additional sanitation measures have been implemented. This includes high touchpoint areas being cleaned more frequently and providing additional hand sanitizing locations. There are still some businesses without an opening date, and that list is relatively small. Bush's Visitor Center, Comedy Barn, Little Bit of Gatlinburg, Ripley's Guinness World Records Adventures, Ripley's Haunted Adventures, Smoky Mountain Escape Games, the Salt and Pepper Shaker Museum, Appalachian Bear Rescue, Trillium Cove Visitor and Education Center. Again, all of those are still without an opening date. This episode is called The Smoky Mountains Area at a Distance. As more people return to the Smokies, Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, Sevierville, and the surrounding areas, there are many more people asking where they can go with limited crowds. Of course, going downtown, The sidewalks are fairly congested. Many people are not wearing masks. Many restaurants and attractions are limiting capacity. With the influx of tourists and the limited capacity of the attractions, you can see where this can add to some additional congestion. Once Dollywood reopens, that'll take a good number of people off of the streets. But with their limits, not as many as they used to. Many are going to be turning to the national park as a place to go to get away, possibly more than before. Last year, a record 12 million people visited the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Cades Cove, Clayman's Dome, Newfound Gap, they're all going to be flooded with tourists. Plus now, and this is new, the National Park Service announced this past week that it will be implementing vehicle-free Wednesdays in Cades Cove this summer, June 17th through September 30th. Each Wednesday, the Cades Cove Loop will be closed to traffic all day instead of just the mornings, so cyclists and pedestrians can safely enjoy recreation. The park will not be doing the Saturday morning summer loop closures in turn, which they hope will improve the visitor experience all the way around. This change is part of a pilot study. The park proposed the study due to congested parking areas and the disruption of visitor services associated with the vehicle-free periods formerly held on Wednesdays and Saturday mornings during the summer months over the past couple of decades. So keep that in mind. Wednesdays, June 17th through September 30th, there will be no vehicles allowed in the Cades Cove Loop. So again, more of those people are going to be looking for different places to go and explore and different things to do. And with that said, I'm going to give you a few places to explore in the park that, shall we say, are the less traveled trails, but still pretty cool adventures. The first one is the Grapeyard Ridge Trail, and this one is often overlooked. It's really close to Gatlinburg. It's normally incredibly quiet. The Grapeyard Ridge Trail links Greenbrier Cove with the Roaring Fork Motor Nature Trail. Many opt to hike the trail from Greenbrier to the ruins of an old steam engine partway along. This makes it about a 5.8-mile round-trip loop. However, you can extend your adventure by going the full way all the way to the Roaring Forks, crossing Grapeyard Ridge, which is named for the prolific amount of grapevines strung throughout the forest in the process. The east end of the Grapeyard Ridge Trail starts where Porter's Creek, Falls Gap Prong, and the middle prong of the Lower Pigeon River all come together to create the Little Pigeon River, which begins flowing northward towards Sevierville. There are 5 water crossings without the benefit of a footbridge on this hike. During the rainy season, the creek can be virtually impassable due to high water. If you wish to keep your feet dry, if you look around a little bit further upstream, you may be able to find a more suitable place to cross. The summer and fall time periods are usually drier and much better times to hike this trail when high water usually isn't an issue. During this hike, there's much evidence of bygone settlements, including the Whaley Cemetery, not far from the Greenbrier Trailhead. Along the hike, you'll pass several old homestead sites which were once part of a community known as Big Laurel. At roughly 2.1 miles, the trail leaves the creek and it begins climbing the ridge up to James Gap. As you climb, the trail passes through several long rhododendron tunnels. At roughly 2.85 miles, you're going to reach the top of the ridge at James Gap. From here, the trail makes a quick descent down to Injun Creek, where you're going to find the remains of the old steam engine lying in the creek. Now, although some people suspect that the word Injun refers to Indian, actually it's a misspelling of the word engine, apparently a mistake made by an old map maker. The engine is a Nichols and Shepard self-propelled steam-powered machine known as a traction engine, and it was brought to the area in the 1920s to saw wood for the Greenbrier School. During its return trip, the driver wasn't able to execute a switchback and the engine tumbled down into Injun Creek. Many of its parts were salvaged, but the rest was still left to rust in the creek bed. It's a pretty cool thing to come across in the middle of the woods. Now, as I mentioned, if you're going to start at Greenbrier and hike out just to the engine, then round trip you're looking at about 5.8 miles, total elevation gain of about 980 feet. The highest elevation you're going to achieve is about 2,500 feet, just a little bit above. Trail difficulty rating is 7.76, which is kind of a moderate hike, but it's not too bad. As for getting there, at the junction of 441 and 321 in Gatlinburg, that's stoplight number 3, turn to travel eastbound on Highway 321. You'll drive about 6 miles and then turn right into the Greenbrier area. Look for the Great Smoky Mountains National Park entrance sign on the right-hand side. This road will turn into a gravel road after a short distance. From the highway, you're going to drive 3 miles to the Grapeyard Ridge trailhead. There'll be a small parking area along the side of the road just before reaching the bridge that would take you into Ramsey Cascades and the Portage Creek trailheads. Again, that is the Grapeyard Ridge Trail. Next up, and this is a really well-kept secret, not too many people know about this, and this is in the beginning of the Cades Cove Loop. This is the Crooked Arm Cascades Falls, whichever you want to call them at that point. Look for the trailhead for the Rich Mountain Loop Trail. The trail will run parallel to the loop road for just a little bit until it turns and heads into the woods. You'll come to a junction on the Rich Mountain Loop Trail and the Crooked Arm Ridge Trail. You're going to want to turn right and follow the Crooked Arm Ridge Trail. Follow that trail until you come to the falls. You'll see the falls from the trail, but many people like to hike down to the falls, but be careful. There's a fairly steep descent to go down there. This is a fairly short hike. It takes maybe 45 minutes to an hour. It's not overly difficult, but it's a fun little hike if you're in the Cades Cove area. The next one, this is one of my favorites, and I've talked about this before, and it requires a little bit of driving to get there, but this is a wonderful hike to take your family on, and this is over in the Big Creek area, and this is the Big Creek Mouse Creek Falls. The Big Creek Trail follows an old railroad grade built by the Crestmont Lumber Company in the early 1900s to haul lumber out of the mountains during the logging boom. The trail was improved by the Civilian Conservation Corps back in the 1930s, and it was converted for hiking use. It's a relatively smooth and even surface that climbs gradually over the course of about 2.1 miles to get to Mouse Creek Falls, and it's an outstanding hike for young or novice hikers. At first, the wide path climbs above the Big Creek campground and away from the creek. After roughly 1.3 miles, however, the trail finally makes contact again with the creek, and then it's there for the rest of the hike. You'll never leave sight or sound of Big Creek. Wildflowers and rhododendron also line the pathway through this section of the trail. At roughly 1.5 miles, and this is really cool, at roughly 1.5 miles, the trail passes Midnight Hole. This is a deep emerald green pool that lies just below a 6-foot waterfall flowing beneath 2 large boulders. If you're lucky, you may see trout scooting through the water. Unfortunately, this spot is not marked by a trail sign. But what is neat is this is one of the few areas where if you want to take a quick dip while hiking, it's a great place to go swimming. Keep in mind, you'll pass a couple of smaller waterfalls along the way that might lead some to believe that they've already reached the Midnight Hole. But on the flip side, you can use this as an excuse to take even more time to explore the many features along the trail. At just over 2 miles, you're going to see a hitching post on your left-hand side of the trail. Continue just a little bit further beyond the hitching post, and you'll see a short side trail that leads to a viewing area of Mouse Creek Falls. It's located on the side of Big Creek. This is a 45-foot waterfall, and it emerges from a dense forest to tumble over several tiers of moss-covered rocks before crashing into Big Creek. This is a great place to drop your backpack, break out the camera, grab a snack or a picnic lunch, and just kick back and relax for a little bit. As I said, this is a nice, easy trail. It's 4.2 miles. Total elevation gain of 605 feet. Average elevation gain per mile, 288 feet. Highest elevation is just over 2,300 feet. And this has a trail difficulty rating of 5.41 that classifies it as a moderately difficult hike, but really it's not. This is a wonderful hike. And as I said, it's a great one for beginners, great one for novices, or to bring your kids along with. One of the best things about this hike, though, is the drive to get there. You're going to take 321, which is the East Parkway, all the way to Cosby. You'll turn left when the road ends, and then you're going to head north for a few miles. Look for the entrance to the Foothills Parkway and turn right. This is an exceptional drive with beautiful scenery and overlooks. The Foothills Parkway runs right into I-40. You're going to take I-40 south near the Tennessee-North Carolina border. Take the Waterville Road exit, which is number 451. You're going to turn left after crossing the Pigeon River. You're going to proceed about 2.1 miles to a 4-way intersection, continue straight through the intersection onto a narrow gravel road, drive past the ranger station into a large parking area at the end of the road. The Big Creek Trailhead is located on the right, just before reaching the parking area, roughly 3 miles from the highway. And again, that is the Big Creek, Mouse Creek Falls Trail, and it's well worth the ride. Next up is Henwallow Falls. Almost from the start, the trail begins to make a steady climb up the northern flank of Snake Den Mountain. While ascending to Gabe's Mountain Trail, which was once known as the Messer Trail, the roots in the rocks will testify to just how rough this route can be in some places. Although rugged, the trail passes through some beautiful lush green forests of rhododendron and ferns. The eastern hemlocks and yellow poplars providing a nice canopy overhead. It's absolutely beautiful. At 2.1 miles, hikers will reach the short and somewhat steep side trail that leads down to the base of the 90-foot Henwallow Falls. Although Henwallow Creek is only 2 feet wide at the top of the falls, it fans out to almost 20 feet at the base. Now, during some drier seasons, water flow might be fairly low, but don't let that discourage you. This is a wonderful hike. And here's a little nugget for you. Be sure to check out the small cave in the ridge just off the right side of the falls. Pretty cool thing to go explore. Now, this hike is 4.4 miles, total elevation gain of 900 feet, average elevation gain per mile of 409 feet. Highest elevation is a little over 2,900 feet, and this again has a moderate rating, 6.2 on the difficulty scale. But again, it's a beautiful hike to go on. Now, the hike to Henwallow Falls in the Great Smoky Mountains begins from Gabe's Mountain Trailhead in Cosby. To reach the trailhead from the junction of 441 and 321 in Gatlinburg, again, that's stoplight number 3, turn and travel eastbound on 321, and you're going to drive 18.2 miles until the road dead ends into Highway 32. You're going to turn right here and go towards Cosby. Drive another 1.2 miles to the park entrance. Turn right into the park and drive another 2 miles to the Gabe's Mountain Trailhead. The trailhead is on the right side of the road, but the large parking area located in the Cosby picnic area is across the street. Henwallow Falls is located off the Gabe's Mountain Trail. The next hike is Husky Branch Falls. It's a 4.7 mile out and back trail located near Gatlinburg. It features a waterfall and is great for all skill levels. The trail is primarily used for hiking, walking, nature trips, bird watching, and it's best used between April and September. This trail ascends a gentle grade along an old gravel railroad bed, and it parallels the Little River, a beautiful cascading stream with large boulders and several small waterfalls. If you're lucky, you might spot an otter or two around in the stream. Between 1988 and 1990, park biologists released 14 river otters into the Little River as part of a successful effort to reintroduce a species throughout the Great Smoky Mountains. At roughly 2.2 miles, you will reach the Husky Branch Falls. It's a small 20-foot cascade that tumbles into the Little River. The waterfall flows down the slope along a hill next to the trail before running underneath a small footbridge. I hiked this back in 2016, and if anybody remembers 2016, this was when we were in the middle of the drought, and my wife and I joked that the Husky Branch Falls was actually more fittingly called the Slim Fit Falls because there was almost no water coming over it then. Again, that was in 2016. Don't let that discourage you from taking this hike. Again, it's a fun little hike, beautiful waterfall. This hike is 4.7 miles, total elevation gain of 383 feet, so it's not very steep. Average elevation gain per mile, 162 feet. Trail difficulty rating, this one is easy. What's kind of cool is that near the trailhead, hikers are going to pass by several old cottages. Most of these were former resort cottages that were built in the 1920s, and they were used as summer homes by the affluent people from Knoxville. For many years, the homes were in disrepair and were off limits to the public. However, in the fall of 2008, the National Park Service completed emergency stabilization of 18 of the historic cabins, as well as to the Appalachian Clubhouse. The park plans to fully restore all 19 structures so that they can be open and viewed to the public, and many are open now. As far as getting there, from the Sugarlands Visitor Center near Gatlinburg, you will drive 4.9 miles west along the Little River Road to reach the turnoff for the Elkmont Campground, which will be on your left. After turning into Elkmont, drive 1.4 miles to the campground entrance. Instead of proceeding into the campground, turn left and drive another 0.6 miles to reach the parking area for the Little River Trail. The Husky Gap Trail is ascended via the Little River Trail. Next hike I want to talk about is the Spruce Flats Falls Trail. The Smokies is home to many waterfalls, but sometimes trekking to a waterfall can be crowded, and Spruce Flat Falls is a wonderfully hidden gem just outside of the Tremont Institute. This area is steeped in the history of some Smokies' original inhabitants and was even the site of a CCC camp at one point. From the parking lot at the Tremont Institute, you're going to head up the hill approximately 25 yards. You'll see the Buckeye Trail heads off to the right, Take this trail to reach your destination. The Buckeye Trail is not on any park map, but don't worry, it's easy to follow. It's a wide and well-worn path, and it travels uphill, steeply in some spots, and it can be rocky in others, with a little bit of root-filled areas. When you reach the top of the first hill, stop and take in the view of the lumbering Rocky Top and the Appalachian Trail, the large mountain looming above you. From here, head downhill now. You're going to walk down a unique foot log. When you reach the top of the first hill, stop and take in the view of the lumbering Rocky Top and the Appalachian Trail. This is the large mountain looming above you. From here, head downhill now, walking down a unique foot log and making your way carefully through the roots. The rushing sound of the waterfall gets louder as you reach your destination. Spruce Flat Falls is a series of cascades, a total of 4, with a total drop of about 30 feet. Many visitors prefer to enjoy the top 2 tiers. This is a great place to cool off on a warm summer afternoon. You can return to your vehicle the same way that you can. It's an out and back hike. This trail is approximately 1.6 miles round trip. Total elevation gain about 460 feet. Highest elevation 1692. And as far as trail difficulty rating, 2.32. This one is considered easy. This next hike is really fun and really overlooked, and it is the Little Greenbrier Trail. The trailhead is off of Ware Cove Gap Road, which is right at the park boundary. You can take the Little River Road to get there, take it to Metcalf Bottom, drive straight across the bridge, and go about 1.25 miles to the park boundary, where you can park. You can also access the trail by going through Wares Valley and taking Ware Cove Gap Road into the park, right up to the edge of the park boundary. This is one of the best kept secrets, by the way, as far as getting into the park, is Ware Cove Gap Road out of Wares Valley. Since this trail begins on a park's boundary, it's a great trail even to take when most of the park roads are closed due to high water or snow or something along those lines. Even though this trail is easy to get to, it has beautiful views, and this trail is rarely used, so it's great if you're looking to get away from the crowds. As you work your way along the park boundary, you're going to catch glimpses into Ware Cove on one side, and then on the other side, you'll catch glimpses into Smoky Mountains National Park. You're going to continue in and out of the park as you follow the trail. When you reach 1.9 miles, you will reach Little Brier Gap Trail. At this point, you're going to want to turn right and work your way down to the Walker Sisters home site. It's about another 0.6 miles from the gap. At one point, the homestead consisted of several outbuildings, including a barn, a blacksmith shop, an apple house, spring house, smokehouse, pig pen, corn crib, and a small tub mill. Today, only the cabin, the spring house, and the corn crib survive at the site. What's really fascinating about this is that the Walker sisters lived at this home site until 1964. They were the last people to leave the Smoky Mountains area, so there's really some interesting history along this trail and at the Walker sisters' place. Round trip length on this hike is about 4.9 miles, total elevation gain 774 feet. So you might consider this moderate, but it's a fun hike. Now, you have 2 ways of getting to the Walker Sisters' place. One is through the, as I just mentioned, the Little Greenbrier Trail to the Little Brier Gap Trail, which will take you right to Walker Sisters' place, or you can get there through Metcalf Bottoms. So you can start the hike to the Walker Sisters' place from the Metcalf Bottoms Trail, and you'll take that up to the Little Brier Gap Trail. To reach the trailhead from Townsend, from the Y intersection near Cades Cove, you're going to want to drive 7.4 miles east to reach the Metcalf Bottoms picnic area. From the Sugarlands Visitor Center near Gatlinburg, you're going to want to drive 10 miles west to reach the Metcalf Bottoms picnic area. Turn into the picnic area and park your car, and then walk across the one-lane bridge, and the trailhead is right there on your right. As I mentioned in the beginning, Little Greenbrier Road is closed, and normally you would be able to enter in through Metcalf Bottoms, cross the bridge in your car, drive up and take Little Greenbrier Road in, and that would eliminate having to hike the first Metcalf Bottoms trail section of this hike. However, since Little Greenbrier Road is closed, you do need to start this hike from that end on the Metcalf Bottoms Trail. So there you have several different hikes that you can go on that take you out of the typical area where all the tourists are, But what's to eat out in those areas? Either to grab a quick breakfast before you go hiking or maybe to grab a quick lunch after you're hiking. There are plenty of places in these areas to go and grab yourself a great bite to eat. In Wears Valley, there's Mountain Chick Cafe. That's right on Wears Valley Road. They're family owned and operated. Mountain Chick Cafe is a must-stop destination for breakfast, lunch, and espresso. Located in the heart of Wears Valley, they offer the perfect place to enjoy a bite to eat and take in the gorgeous views. Their goal is to create a cozy spot for locals and visitors to gather. Also in that area is Hillbillies. They're open for breakfast and lunch. They have Banana Foster's French Toast, Hillbilly Burgers, and more, and that's over at Hillbillies. Elvira's is over in Wears Valley also. They're open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They have your traditional menu. If you go out a little bit further out into Townsend, one place that I recommend to everybody to go is Trailhead Steak and Trout House. Whether you're in the mood for a good steak or craving a platter of seafood, you are sure to find a meal that'll satisfy your appetite. You can choose from a selection of steaks and burgers as well as seafood like fish and shrimp. Maybe for something a little bit lighter, they also have soups and salads. That's over at the Trailhead Steak and Trout House. Reservations are recommended, more so because of the size of the restaurant. And again, it is very popular, but that's, again, all the way out in Townsend. Also, if you're looking for something light to eat, you can hit the Burgermaster Drive-In. That's burgers, sandwiches, ice cream, and don't forget to ask about treats for your dog if you have your dog with you. That's at the Burgermaster Drive-In. Now, that's all out in Wears Valley and Townsend area, but if you're going the other way, as I said, over in Cosby, you can't miss this place. This place is just off the charts unique, and this is Doc's 321 Cafe. And at Doc's 321 Cafe, they serve award-winning 5-star healthy meals made from scratch in a family-friendly atmosphere, which is a modified 1980 school bus. This place is really cool. If you're looking for something that's absolutely unforgettable, how many places do you eat lunch where you actually want to take pictures of the establishment? And that's Doc's 321 Cafe. You can enjoy their smoked sirloin on a stick or possibly their famous beef brisket. You can have their version of what they call Three Little Pigs, which is smoked pork ribs and smoked sausage served with 2 sides. They also have their Cosby Creek Padillas, which is a Tuscan flatbread pizza with garlic pesto sauce and yellow squash zucchini, red onions, tomatoes, and smoked cheese and sausages. Their Rapid River Wrap, which is a turkey ham, lettuce, and tomato sandwich made with avocado and herbal mayonnaise, and it is served on a sun-dried tomato wrap. And also, don't miss, if you're lucky enough, you can get their tomato basil java and possibly their smoked sausage and chicken gumbo. And did I mention smoked pies? Yes, I said that right, smoked pies. And again, all of this unique food is at Doc's 321 Cafe, and that's out in Cosby area. Now, something a little closer to home, and this is, I'm going to take you off the Parkway, and I'm going to take you into the arts and crafts community, and this is brand new. This is the Gatlinburg Grind Cafe and Bakery. They feature fresh-made bagels, but picture this, sweet almond blueberry with a mixed berry cream cheese. When there's a cream cheese this amazing, you choose your bagel for the day to pair with this amazingness. You can come try the amazing deliciousness of their cheddar garlic jalapeno bagels, and their everything jalapeno bagel. Gatlinburg Grind is beyond excited to share their love for really good coffee and pastries with their friends, community, and the wonderful people who come to visit our town. Gatlinburg Grind is proud to serve real coffee to great people, and their coffees are locally roasted by 2 reputable companies. One is Clifftops Coffee Company, roasting their beans right here in Gatlinburg, and Vienna Coffee Company over in Maryville. So for amazing coffee, espresso, cappuccino, loose tea, cold brew, fantastic choices for the kiddos, don't look any further than Gatlinburg Grind Cafe and Bakery. And again, that's in the Glades, the arts and crafts community right on Glades Road. Also off the Parkway, but still in Gatlinburg, is the Greenbrier. And the Greenbrier restaurant is a food and spirit outpost nestled in the Great Smoky Mountains. They're acclaimed for their unique chef-driven menu. They specialize in hand-cut prime steaks, fresh produce, house specialties, and craft cocktails. With a rare in-house dry aging process and an exceptional atmosphere, the Greenbrier restaurant is Gatlinburg's premier steakhouse. Whether you're visiting the area or a resident of the Great Smoky Mountains, the Greenbrier staff is dedicated to providing the highest quality food and service. Visit the Greenbrier restaurant for a truly unparalleled dining experience. Last but not least is Crystal Creek. I've never had a bad meal there, from the chicken to the trout to the steaks. It's always outstanding. The live music is fun. Don't miss the hummingbird cake, and that's over at Crystal Creek. So there you have it. There's a number of different hikes. There's a number of different restaurants. All of these are off the beaten path. So if you're looking to stay away from the crowds or maybe just go for something a little bit quiet, a little less hectic, these are all great alternatives for you. I hope you enjoyed the broadcast. I hope for you to come down to the Smokies and have just a wonderful vacation experience down here. But remember, when you're down in the Smokies, a fed bear is a dead bear. Please don't feed the bears. Thanks for listening. An Outsider's Guide to the Smoky Mountains was brought to you by Dancing Barefoot Cabin. If you're looking for a log cabin lodging experience beyond the ordinary, then Dancing Barefoot Cabin is for you. Conveniently located in between Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg. Explore the possibilities at dancingbarefoot.com. That's dancingbarefoot, BEARFOOT.com. Pizza Bear illustration by Kenton Visser. Music by Jay Denton.